Hey team. All right, let's get started for today. So your homework is going to be to do 15 discussion questions, just like we did before. So you're going to use those stems to help you write your questions. And we have an opportunity for extra credit here. So if you do 20 questions, we'll get you some extra credit points. The also thing is we want to give you a heads up. We're going to start our essay on Friday. So you know how to do this. The prompt for the essay is stuff that we have talked about a bunch of times. And you know how to write what we're asking you to do. You guys are really great at supporting your argument with evidence, all that kinds of stuff. So I know this is going to be awesome and you're going to do a really great job. You're going to have time in class to work on it. We'll talk about all the due dates and the prompt and all of that kind of stuff on Friday. Okay. All right. So today we're going to read aloud and finish the book together. And then whatever time we have left, you can be working on your discussion questions. Okay. All right, so we're going to start from page 208. And just a reminder that in your reading last night, Charlie and Sam finally got together, which is very exciting. Except he kind of started to freak out when they started to move beyond making out. And so they stopped, and that was fine. And he went home and he dreamed about his Aunt Helen, and he dreamed that she was molesting him. So we're going to kind of find out what happened after that today. All right. So if you want to have your book alongside with you, you can go ahead and open yours up. I'm going to put mine on the screen like I usually do. And we're going to go ahead and start here on page 208. August 23rd, 1992. Dear friend, I've been in the hospital for the past 2 months. They just released me yesterday. The doctor told me that my mother and father found me sitting on the couch in the family room. I was completely naked, just watching television, which wasn't on. I wouldn't speak or snap out of it, they said. My father even slapped me to wake me up, and like I told you, he never hits. But it didn't work. So they brought me to the hospital where I stayed when I was 7 after my Aunt Helen died. They told me I didn't speak or acknowledge anyone for a week. Not even Patrick, whom I guess visited me during that time. It's scary to think about. All I remember is putting the letter in the mailbox. The next thing I knew, I was sitting in the doctor's office, and I remembered my Aunt Helen, and I started to cry. And the doctor, who turned out to be a very nice woman, started asking me questions, which I answered. I don't really want to talk about the questions and the answers, but I kind of figured out that everything I dreamt about my Aunt Helen was true. And after a while, I realized that it happened every Saturday when we would watch television. The first few weeks in the hospital were very hard. The hardest part was sitting in the doctor's office when the doctor told my mom and dad what happened. I've never seen my mother cry. I've never seen my mother cry so much, or my father look so angry, because they didn't know that it was happening when it did. But the doctor has helped me work on a lot of things since then, about my Aunt Helen and about my family and friends and me. There are a lot of stages to these kinds of things, and she was really great through all of them. The thing that helped me the most, though, was the time I could have visitors. My family, including my brother and sister, always came for those days until my brother had to go back to school to play football. After that, my family came without my brother, and my brother sent me cards. He even told me on his last card that he read my report on Walden, and he liked it a lot, which made me feel really good. Just like the first time I saw Patrick. The best thing about Patrick is that even when you're in the hospital, he doesn't change. He just cracks jokes to make you feel better instead of asking you questions about feeling worse. He even brought me a letter from Sam, and Sam said that she was coming back at the end of August, and if I got better by then, she and Patrick would drive me through the tunnel. And this time, I could stand in the back of the pickup if I wanted to. Things like that helped me more than anything. The days when I received mail were good, too. My grandfather sent me a really nice letter. So did my great aunt. So did my grandma, great uncle Phil. My Aunt Rebecca even sent me flowers with a card signed by all of my Ohio cousins. It was nice to know that they were thinking about me. Just like it was nice the time that Patrick brought Mary Elizabeth and Alice and Bob and everyone for a visit, including Peter and Craig. I guess they're friends again. And I was glad they were. Just like I was glad that Mary Elizabeth did most of the talking, because it made things feel normal. Mary Elizabeth even stayed a little later than the others. I was so happy to have a chance to talk with her alone before she left for Berkeley, excuse me. Just like I was happy for Bill and his girlfriend when they came to see me 2 weeks ago. They're getting married this November, and they want me to go to their wedding. It's nice to have things to look forward to. The time it started to feel like everything was going to be all right was the time my sister and brother stayed after my parents left. This was sometime in July. They asked me a lot of questions about Aunt Helen because I guess nothing ever happened to them. And my brother looked really sad, and my sister looked really mad. And it was at that time that things started to get clearer. Excuse me. Because there was nobody to hate anymore after that. What I mean is that I looked at my brother and sister and I thought that maybe someday they would be an aunt and an uncle, just like I would be an uncle, just like my mother and Aunt Helen were sisters. And we could all sit around and wonder and feel bad about each other and blame a lot of people for what they did or didn't do or what they didn't know. I don't know. I guess there could always be someone to blame. Maybe if my grandfather didn't hit her, my mom wouldn't be so quiet. And maybe she wouldn't have married my dad because he doesn't hit. And maybe I would never have been born. But I'm very glad to have been born, so I don't know what to say about it all, except since my mom seems happy with her life, I don't know what else there is to want. It's like if I blamed my Aunt Helen, I would have to blame her dad for hitting her, and the friend of the family that fooled around with her when she was little, and the person that fooled around with him, and God for not stopping all of this, and things that are much worse. And I did do that for a while, but then I just couldn't anymore. Because it wasn't going anywhere, because it wasn't the point. I'm not the way I am because of what I dreamt and remembered about my Aunt Helen. That's what I figured out when things got quiet. And I think that's very important to know. It made things feel clear and together. Don't get me wrong, I know what happened was important, and I needed to remember it. But it's like when my doctor told me the story of these two brothers whose dad was a bad alcoholic. One brother grew up to be a successful carpenter who never drank. Excuse me. The other brother ended up being a drinker as bad as his dad was. When they asked the first brother why he didn't drink, he said that after he saw what it did to his father, he could never bring himself to even try it. When they asked the other brother, he said he guessed he learned how to drink on his father's knee. So I guess we are who we are for a lot of reasons. And maybe we'll never know most of them. But even if we don't have the power to choose where we come from, we can still choose where we go from there. We can still do things, and we can try to feel okay about them. I think if I ever have kids and they're upset, I won't tell them that people are starving in China or anything like that because it wouldn't change the fact that they were upset. And if somebody else has it much worse, it doesn't change the fact that you have what you have, good and bad. Just like what my sister said when I'd been in the hospital for a while. She said she was really worried about going to college, and considering what I was going through, she felt really dumb about it. I don't know why she would feel dumb. I'd be worried too. And really, I don't think I have it any better or worse than she does. I don't know. It's just different. Maybe it's good to put things in perspective, but sometimes I think the only perspective is really to be there, like Sam said, because it's okay to feel things and be who you are about them. When I got released yesterday, my mom drove me home. It was in the afternoon, and she asked me if I was hungry, and I said yes. And then she asked me what I wanted, and I told her I wanted to go to McDonald's like I did when I was little and got sick and stayed home from school. So we went there, and it was nice to be with my mom and eat French fries. And later that night to be with my family at dinner time and have things just be like they always were. That was the amazing part. Things just kept going. We didn't talk about anything heavy or light. We were just there together, and that was enough. So today, my father went to work, and my mother took my sister and me out to take care of the last minute things for my sister since she's leaving for college in a few days. Excuse me. When we got back, I called Patrick's house because he said that Sam should be home by then. Sam answered the phone, and it was so nice to hear her voice. Later, they came by in Sam's pickup truck, and we went to the big boy, just like we always did. Sam told us about her life at school, which sounded very exciting, and I told her about my life in the hospital, which didn't. And Patrick made jokes to keep everyone honest. After we left, we got in Sam's pickup truck, and just like Sam promised, we went to the tunnel. About half a mile from the tunnel, Sam stopped the car, and I climbed in back. Patrick played the radio really loud so I could hear it, and as we were approaching the tunnel, I listened to the music and thought about all the things that people have said to me over the past year. I thought about Bill telling me I was special, and my sister saying she loved me, and my mom too, and even my dad and my brother when I was in the hospital. I thought about Patrick calling me his friend, and I thought about Sam telling me to do things, to really be there. And I just thought how great it was to have friends and a family. As we went into the tunnel, I didn't hold up my arms like I was flying. I just let the wind rush over my face. And I started crying and smiling at the same time. Because I couldn't help feeling just how much I loved my Aunt Helen for buying me 2 presents. And how much I wanted the present I bought my mom for my birthday to be really special. And how much I wanted my sister and brother and Sam and Patrick and everyone else to be happy. But mostly, I was crying because I was suddenly very aware of the fact that it was me standing up in that tunnel with the wind over my face, not caring if I saw downtown, not even thinking about it, because I was standing in the tunnel, and I was really there, and that was enough to make me feel infinite. Tomorrow, I start my sophomore year of high school, and believe it or not, I'm really not that afraid of going. I'm not sure if I'll have the time to write any more letters because I might be too busy trying to participate. So if this does end up being my last letter, please believe that things are good with me, and even when they're not, they will be soon enough. And I will believe the same about you. Love always, Charlie. We're done! Yay! I love Charlie so much, and I hope that you guys really enjoyed reading the book. If you want to, take a second, take a break. We just finished something. It's important to honor that. So if you want to get up, go to the bathroom, whatever, take a break. If you're ready to go ahead and get started on the next thing, you can start working on your discussion questions.